Go.
I'm just looking at where we are to make sure we're in the right place. Okay, cool. So welcome to another one of our Dwellers videos. And today we're going to be talking about an event that happened just a couple of days ago, which was the event at Stirling up in Scotland. It's not going to be a run through of blow by blow what happened in each round, because I didn't go, and we know that there's other guys out there doing videos like that. I'm going to reference especially Jamie and James Braun, who I think have put together a little video about their adventures. Apparently they took something quite interesting to the tournament. What did they take, Dave?
Mr. Braun arrived with borrowed models. His evil army was 2 mummies.
2 mummocks. Yeah. Oh, he's Daniel Entwistle.
Yes, Mr. Entwistle made sure he was in Stirling even if he wasn't in Stirling.
Excellent.
And Mr. Jamie Giblin, he brought the 9. Well, was it the 9? Yeah, I think it was the 9 on horses.
Fab.
The Witch King and the rest were all just generic. Scary little fluffy army, though. Scary little fluffy army.
So, if you want to check that out, that'll be over on the GBHL channel. I'm sure it'll come out soon, although I saw Jamie had a bit of a headache with the recording. So, yeah, that's why we're not going to go into that area. So, I guess the first thing to say is, how do you think Dave did as a TO over the weekend?
Awesome.
How did you find the event generally?
Dave, as a TO, Dave Reid was brilliant. He was calm, relaxed. He took everyone's comments, complaints, issues, in-game issues, and addressed them accordingly. I was very pleased with him. I know everybody else was, and everybody thoroughly and utterly enjoyed themselves. Things ran smoothly. There was spot prizes throughout the day for different funny things that might have happened in a scenario. And it was really good fun.
Excellent. Yeah, Dave Reid, everybody, absolute legend. So my first major question, therefore, is what sort of armies did you see? Because we've talked in our other videos about armies and what we thought might come to different tournaments. So,
indeed,
what actually turned up?
Evil was predominantly the Berserkers, the Isenguards, Saruman's. There was quite a few Fell Beasts. Mr. Ed Ball took his usual Fell Beast list,
of course,
as I did with the Undyne. There was Sam Jeffrey and quite a few others. There was a few Gladrills out there with the old banishment, worrying us Fell Beast players.
I think that's going to be a really good choice and a good versus evil format, because you're pretty much guaranteed to come up against something nasty.
Indeed.
And if it's a ring wraith, why not?
Indeed. Obviously, Mr. Giblin with his fellowship and with his wraiths on horses, very, very fluffy but very scary.
Yeah.
The mummics. There was an army with a few trolls in there. One a special mention to Chris Murphy, who brought his goblins. Yeah.
Yes, his terrible goblins.
His ultra terrible goblins with a Mordor troll. I believe it was a Mordor troll. The Goblin King and Shallow Lord on a Fell Beast. Scary little army.
So how about good forces? What did you see? Was it? Did we see any old hero this time? Was there?
We did. There were a couple of hero lists, mine included. There was James Clark, Rivendell Knights. I didn't actually get to see them in play, but they were definitely there. One of my opponents, Alistair Miller, he brought a lovely elf army with Gladrill. He took Gilgalad, he took Elrond, beasts, loads of elves, a few with bows. Yeah, a bit of a nasty force. So there was a lot of good stuff out there, but unfortunately, my head really was in some of the games I was playing, and I didn't get to see everyone's forces. Oh, I do want to mention one army, and that's Mr. Ian Spiller. He took his Dunlendings.
He won best army with it as well, didn't he? So it's brilliant force, and I love the theme that he took with taking the Shire as well for his other army.
Yes.
And of course, Ian's a great painter, as much as it pains me to say it. He's probably better than most of us supposedly grown-up players. And his basing, especially the little flowers and things like that he puts down. Yeah.
I mean, all of these things you can actually buy to put on, but the way he puts them on and how he manages them to make the uniform across the awesome. He's always going to get my painting vote unless there's something spectacular out there.
I'll be honest, he does usually get mine.
Yeah.
he stole my vote away from Damien, who used to be my.
Don't be saying that on.
Well, GVHR Damien, he's a great painter, but Ian's the next level.
Just because you mentioned Damien GBHL, I want to mention out for Damien and Tom, and I want to say thank you, both of you, very, very much for last week plugging us, plugging this channel. We're all working together.
In their channel, which is the Palantir.
Yeah. I'll never be able to do that. I'll never
coordination, Dave.
But no, thank you very, very much, you guys. Appreciate that. Right, let's crack on quickly.
Scenery, again, it's a big part of the game that nobody normally talks about, so we're going to talk about it.
What can I say? Scenery was awesome. On the previous cast, which I did with an interview with Dave Reid, I put on a few of the tables at the end as pictures, and I think you'll see that all the tables were filled. At one point, I actually turned around to Dave and I said, "Dave, can I change my list and get rid of my crosswoman?" Because I think archery was slightly disadvantaged to some of the boards, which was great to see. So it wasn't the battlefield boards we usually see. It was more the skirmish game boards.
It's a good shift because we were talking only at lunchtime about how the game, it was meant to be played with 33% to 50% scenery, but actually what we're seeing more at the moment are quite open battlefields because it's not easy to find enough fantasy scenery for the numbers of players we've been getting this year. And in some ways it's a good problem. We've got too many people coming to tournaments, but to have an event where they've put scenery as a priority at that level where it boils down to a skirmish game again, and
I mean it does allow for different army list options for a lot of the competitors, a lot of the players out there. Do you bring your bows? Is the scenery going to give you a crux? Is it going to give you an advantage? At what point do you put too much scenery on a table as a TO? At what point do you level it out? Does the scenery become a serious advantage for one player over another? And that's a hard balance. But it was great to see a lot of very detailed scenery. There was one board where there was loads of scenery, but it was all very, very low level stuff. So it didn't disadvantage archers.
But it blocked your movement.
It blocked your movement, yeah.
So, scenery.
Okay.
Day one then happens. And
let's forget about day one a second. Let's talk about the day before day one.
Oh, the day before day one.
Right. Everyone kind of travelled up. It's a long
trip.
Day zero. It's a long way up, but it's only like 3-4 hours depending where in the country you are. And if you're coming from further afield, we've all got friends in the community where you can stop off and stay for an evening. We can always pool cars and stuff and get up there, and that's basically what happened generally. So a lot of people got up on the Friday, and that's when Dave pulled out the icing on the cake, in my opinion, in reverse, excuse my Irishness, and we went out for a bite to eat. We went out for a curry, and that was kind of cool. Good way of socialising before the event. Some people went out for a bit longer, some people didn't, like me, who went back to the hotel because I'm getting old and grey, and I still stayed up quite late.
Well, it's an important part of the Hobbit scene, isn't it? And it's one of the things that has set us apart from other groups. And Dan Bird's often telling me how he's stealing the social aspect of the Hobbit for some of the systems that he's heavily involved in, because it's something that we do well.
Well, it is important, isn't it? I mean, it's not just a case of you arrive at a tournament, you play total strangers or people you know, you have a tournament poker face, and then that's it. We try and break it down into community. Yeah.
And let's be honest, most of the time that we talk outside of the scene, we're talking to people about stuff that we don't really care all that much about, or where we're trying to be interested in something that they're talking about, and it's the one time in the year we get to talk about the thing that we obsess about. And we're all into little toy soldiers, and there's not many people who are going to sit and listen for 3 hours to you talk about toy soldiers, so it's nice to have that opportunity for a weekend. Right. So day one then started. What was the atmosphere like?
It was buzzing. The venue itself is amazing. We're sat at a gaming table here, loads of scenery at this moment in time. Scenic tables up there, great, but they have cup holders at the table, tall seats, everything. Coffees and teas are brought to you. It's basically kind of like nearly putting your hand up and going garçon, and it's really good. Each game lasted 2.25 hours, loads of time, and the venue allowed the TO to be on hand for all of the tables, which was great. The game started, my first game actually, sorry for talking about me here, but my first game, I was actually very concerned I'd be playing the TO's Ringer Army because my opponent, Alistair Miller, was quite late. He turned up, we got started to find out that Sam Jeffrey had won the first spot prize of, I think, Fredo and Dice. And
he's always winning things now. He didn't win anything for so long.
Good on, Sam, good on. But started the games flowed. Then we had a lovely lunch. There was mixed sandwiches, there was soup, there was drinks. That was all perfect. Plenty of time to chill out. And again, I'm going to shout out to Mr. Jamie Giblin and James Braun for introducing me into a brand new little card game called Dead Man's Draw, which a lot of us throughout the weekend spent our free time just relaxing after games. So that was really good. Game 2 started up, and then suddenly into game 3, and then it's all done and dusted. We're looking at the rule for, sorry, I can't even remember the word. We're looking at the lead situation, who's playing who for the next day, and then we all go out for a great social event. We went for a Chinese, and I didn't mention the first night, but the second night as well, very, very cheap, very affordable. I think each night going out to eat was only something like £12 to £15 with maybe one or two drinks included. So yeah, really, really good. And I'll talk about the hotel prices near the end, but what I'm trying to push forward is it's actually a cheaper time away an event than you would imagine.
Yeah, it's certainly one of the things to consider when you go into these tournaments is all the extra costs that you don't necessarily anticipate the first time you go. But
indeed. And I know that's a struggle for TOs as well. How do we price our tickets, and at what price? Is it too expensive when you add in all the extras? So yeah, it's a bit difficult there.
So day 2 comes along, you're a little bit blurry because you haven't had enough sleep. You spent far too long.
How did you know?
Because you spent
I'm stressed.
You spent far too long yesterday talking about the game, playing the game. Your mind is so completely involved in playing the Hobbit, and you walk into the room. And again,
this was amazing. 70% of the people were there with minutes to go, and there were Facebook messages going on about a few people who were still somewhere. The usual tournament scene of someone kind of gets
guess who it was.
We'll leave names out of it anyway. So moving on. Moving on, we start the games, everyone then turns up, and the TO was very relaxed again. He allowed us to start a little bit late to allow people to arrive. I think we started 9:30 on the Sunday. We flowed in through the first game, then into the lunch again, and lunch was pasta and drinks and other bits and pieces, freely and readily available. You just queue up, pick up, sit down, chill out, and give yourself time to go out. And
were there more spot prizes on day 2 as well?
There were spot prizes in every single game. There were spot prizes all over the place. I mean, I've got a few shout outs for little prizes that I received, not in gaming, but we'll leave that for a moment. Leaving everything for a moment. I'll be piling up the list in a second.
We don't want to go on too long.
Sorry, go on.
Podiums. Right, so
okay.
It's an important part of the weekend.
Was it?
It turns out that apparently somebody wins a tournament. I don't know.
Yes, Mr. Ed Ball took first
well
place.
Done, Ed.
Yes, well done. Nicely played. And then we had Lewis Alpen. He took second place.
Yeah, what the legend that is, Louis.
Indeed. And I've also got to give a shout out to Mr. Chris Murphy, who came third. I played all 3 of them. All very, very tough opponents.
Yeah,
and great experience.
They are solid. The 3 solid guys. Louis has been around for absolutely ages in the scene, and he supported some of the very early tournaments in the Great British Hobbit League. Ed's been around forever, of course, and we all know him from all the other videos. And Chris doesn't get talked about on the channel much, but he's one of the best players in the league, isn't he? And he proves it time and time again, hitting the podiums. And
well, he definitely smashed me in my last game. We did play twice, but he definitely smashed me in the second game. What I would like to say is that Mr. David Whitaker was he asked for a lift, which I was quite happy to do so, and in return he gave me a bag of Freddos, which went to my 3-year-old daughter, and she is over the moon. So Dave, thank you very, very much. And also again to both Chris, Alan Little and Dave Reed, who gave me a Gandalf pin badge.
Wow.
Which also went to my 3-year-old daughter, and the minute she saw it, she shouted, Gandalf! So well pleased with that. So thank you those guys, right?
Yeah, well,
now
guys.
that's my bit done.
So the final question, it's the most important question, is would you go again?
Without a doubt.
And do you think, having been this year, that you're going to be tinkering your army thoughts? Have you're already starting to plan out armies for next year?
Well, I've already had a few chats with Dave Reed to try and find out what his remit for next year is. We are going to organise to meet up and do a proper preview and then a review for his next tournament in time as well, and see if we can sort something out for you guys as well.
Yeah.
Definitely
Great.
go.
Great.
Right. I wish you were there. Next year, we'll drag you.
I always say next year, and it seems to fall on the wrong weekend every year. And this year, it's just fallen wrong because I quit my job, so I don't have any money. But so if you want to send me...
No, we're not going down that route. No. Stop there.
Check out my guns.
Okay, cheers, guys. Thanks for that. And we will be back to you potentially after the Mansfield event, which is coming up on the 12th, 13th. Hopefully we should have a recording with Mr. Will Champion for his event, start of 2016. So with that, guys, we'll say goodbye.
See you again soon.
Bye for now.